Jai Jai Shri Radhe. The reading of the stories of the 252 Vaishnavas, 252 Vaishnavan ki Varta. Today is the 6th day. We are on Varta number 2, beginning today the story of Krishna Bhatt, who is the son of Sri Gosaiji's disciple Padma Raval, a Sanchora Brahmin who lived in Ujjain. Bhav Prakash. Krishna Bhatt was a Satvik devotee. In the Leela, his name is Ras Vilasini. She is an expansion of Sri Lalitaji, thus she is a personification of Lalitaji's loving feelings. Ras Vilasini is Sri Chandravaliji's close and trusted Sakhi. For this reason, Sri Chandravaliji can converse with her about her private loving exchanges with the beloved. At that time, they both enjoy the nectar of such contemplation, and Sri Chandravaliji makes all her intimate lady friends and companions and share in her own experience, and in this way sheds light on such nectarian activities. Krishna Bhatt was born into the home of Padma Raval, a Sanchora Brahmin. Padma Raval was a servant of Sri Acharyaji. The deep import of his story will be revealed first. Padma Raval had 4 sons, of whom Krishna Bhatt was the eldest. He was well educated, and later he was married. He received a wife who was a fit vessel, a divine soul. They had 2 sons, Gokul Bhatt and Govinda Bhatt. These 2 were also divine, connected with the Leela. We will talk about their divine identities first. Once Sri Gosaiji came to Ujjain. At that time, Krishna Bhatt and his family served him. Later, Krishna Bhatt humbly prayed to Sri Gosaiji, thus, Maharaj, have you any instructions for me? Sri Gosaiji instructed, serve the Lord. Then Sri Gosaiji gave Krishna Bhatt a swarup of child Krishna. Then Krishna Bhatt again supplicated, Maharaj, I wish to serve you, my master. Then Sri Gosaiji gave him his own sandals, padukas, as well. A few days later, Sri Gosaiji left Ujjain. Krishna Bhatt was deeply troubled by his dire feelings. Separation from Sri Gosaiji, his physical state, also became unstable. Then Sri Gosaiji told Chacha Harivansji, Krishna Bhatt's condition is still raw. Go and stay with him for a time. Thereafter, leaving Chacha Harivansji there, he left for Adel. By spending time with Chacha Harivansji, Krishna Bhatt got a firm grasp of the path. He learnt about the traditions and so forth. Later, many souls would receive Sri Gosaiji's shelter due to Krishna Bhatt's association. Krishna Bhatt had great affection for Vaishnavas. He had 10 or 5,000 rupees. Whenever any Vaishnava would come to Ujjain, he would invite these Vaishnavas home, and with great affection he would serve him prasad. He would insist on their staying for several days. When that Vaishnava was ready to leave, Krishna Bhatt would open his backpack the night before and put money inside. He did it in such a way that the Vaishnava would not even know. Only later, when the Vaishnava would unpack, he understood how Krishna Bhatt had done. What Krishna Bhatt had done. That was how much Krishna Bhatt loved Vaishnavas. Day and night, Krishna Bhatt would read the books of Sri Acharyaji and Sri Gosaiji. He wanted to read them to the Vaishnavas who would come. So firm was he on the path. He was always submerged in loving remembrance of the Lord, and every year Krishna Bhatt used to come from Ujjain to have an audience with Sri Gosaiji. He would remain in Sri Gosaiji's service there for 2 to 3 months at that time. Part 1. Once Krishna Bhatt was immersed in the service of Sri Gosaiji. Sri Gosaiji was very pleased to see Sri Bhatt's loving service. One day, by his grace, he gave the whole book of Sri Subodhiniji to Krishna Bhatt, but Krishna Bhatt couldn't understand it at all. Then, out of compassion, Sri Gosaiji wrote a commentary revealing the deep meanings of Sri Subodhiniji, and Sri Gosaiji gave that commentary to Krishna Bhatt. Bhav Prakash. Through that commentary, Sri Gosaiji infused the secrets and divine moods of Pushti Marg in Krishna Bhatt's heart. Part 1 continued. Just by looking at the book, Krishna Bhatt was seized by divine feeling. The secrets which were hidden in Sri Acharyaji's commentary were revealed in Sri Gosaiji's Tippani commentary, and Sri Gosaiji established all of that in Krishna Bhatt's heart. Such immense mercy Sri Gosaiji bestowed upon Krishna Bhatt. Bhav Prakash. In a similar way, Sri Acharyaji had given sandalwood paste and water in which the Lord's feet had been washed to Padma Raval, and from the moment he partook of these, the philosophy of Sri Acharyaji's path manifested within him. Like that, Krishna Bhatt experienced everything just by looking at the book. In this way, it should be understood. Part 1 continued. From that day on, after returning home, Krishna Bhatt would read and speak on Sri Subodhini every day as a rule, and at that time all the Vaishnavas would hear from him. The primary audience member used to be Nihal Chandbhai, and Vaishnavas from that place and elsewhere would come also to listen. Then after some days, Krishna Bhatt came to Gokul. A Kunabi Vaishnava came with him. The Kunabi Vaishnava used to follow Krishna Bhatt wherever he went. One day, in Sri Natadwara, Sri Gosaiji, after bathing, was ascending Sri Govardhan hill. Sri Gosaiji led the way and Krishna Bhatt followed, and behind him came the Kunabi Vaishnava. At that time, the Kunabi Vaishnava asked Krishna Bhatt, "O Bhattji, one day you said in Kada that Sri Govardhan is replete with precious metals and encrusted with jewels, and that Govind Kund is full of milk. But I can't see any of that." In this way, the Kunabi Vaishnava questioned Krishna Bhatt, and Sri Gosaiji heard what he had said. Then Sri Gosaiji turned to Sri Krishna Bhatt and said, "What is this Vaishnava saying?" Then the Kunabi Vaishnava said to Sri Gosaiji with folded hands, "Maharaji, one day Krishna Bhatt said in his discourses that Sri Govardhan is replete with precious metals and encrusted with jewels, and that Govind Kund is full of milk. But Maharaj, I can't see anything." Sri Gosaiji didn't say anything at that time. Bhav Prakash. Why? Because he was arriving for his seva and he could not be late for that, so Sri Gosaiji did not speak. Part 1 continued. Then Sri Gosaiji arrived in Srinathji's temple for seva. He adorned Sri Govardhan Naji and performed Rajbhog Arti, then went outside the temple. At that time, Sri Gosaiji asked, "Where is the Kunabi Vaishnava?" Then that Vaishnava said, "Maharaj, I am the Kunabi." Then Sri Gosaiji said, "Now look carefully." There, the Kunabi saw Sri Govardhan full of precious jewels and covered with gems, and he saw Govind Kund filled with milk. Sri Gosaiji granted that Kunabi Vaishnava a true vision of Braj. Then the Kunabi Vaishnava bowed down low before Sri Gosaiji and said, "Maharaj, who but you would grant such grace upon such an insignificant soul as me?" Then Sri Gosaiji walked down Sri Govardhan hill. The Kunabi Vaishnava then went to Govind Kund and filled a small water pot there. Later he showed it to Krishna Bhatt, and the Kunabi Vaishnava said to Krishna Bhatt, "By your mercy, Sri Gosaiji granted me an otherworldly vision. There was his grace upon me, and it happened by your mercy." Such an accomplished Vaishnava was Krishna Bhatt, a vessel of Sri Gosaiji's grace. Vaishnava. Thus, Bhav Prakash. This incident reveals how the path becomes fruitful through the Vaishnavas. Thus, one should remain in communication with Vaishnavas all the time. From this, all is concluded. By the grace of the Vaishnavas, one receives the grace of Sri Gosaiji. Kunti Devi. When the Guru is By the grace of the Vaishnavas, one receives the grace of Sri Guru. When the Guru is pleased, nothing remains unattained. That is why the association of Vaishnavas is the greatest thing of all. So we conclude the reading for today, and we'll continue with part 2 of Varta 2, the story of Krishna Bhatt, tomorrow. Shri Gosai Ji ki jai ho. Shri Acharya Ji ki jai ho. Shri Vallabhadisha ki jai ho. Jai Jai Shri Radhe Ji. Jai Shri Radhe.